we ready? Like your hat.
Which one you want us to face for Pledge of Allegiance?
I should have brought a flag.
Where is the, is it that way? Okay. I'd like to call the December meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Appreciate everyone's flexibility to move from the luxurious police department meeting room to a fully adequate town meeting room. So, again, welcome Selectman Al Goldberg, our liaison. Thank you very much for attending. First order, their move to accept the November minutes as written.
So moved.
Any changes, additions, deletions? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Public comments, we're well hidden from the public this evening, unfortunately. So, Chief's report.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Happy holidays. We'll start with the budget. You folks should have the handouts. Coming to this is the 6-month mark in our budget. Any questions, comments, observations?
Looks like everything is more or less on track. We talked last month about the items that were front-loaded, I think it was the vehicles. So any, changes in the expense rate?
If you allow me to talk, I want
Sure.
to talk about recruitment and move it with, what you're going to see is unencumbered wage. You have the 2 officers, and then there's going to be another 6 month, well actually 5 months of wages added after the first of the year. We've interviewed 8 folks. We've had 1 who's marginal. The state of Connecticut finished statewide. They had 220 folks that took the exam. They had 4 laterals that took the exam. They had 21 dispatchers. And you're talking over 91 agencies. That's not good. So we're going to continue. We have 3 laterals that have come to us that have an interest. As soon as they formally tell us they have the interest, then we'll do those interviews, and if we feel that they should go in front of you folks for further scrutiny, then we'll move from there. We have academy spots we have reserved. I don't believe we're going to make them for the 2nd week of January. I don't want to push somebody through just because we want a body. The other day we honored Connor Sirachi, had a 99.3 average. It's the highest one they've had in the academy, and he's one of 14, one of 16 now. But we've had 5 that finished number 1 or number 2 in the academy, and others that were in the top 10%. I don't think we should ever move from that. We set that standard. I think we look for a certain person that fits what we know as Madison, Connecticut, and I really don't want to stray from that path. Questions?
Yeah, well, look at
So that money, that's where you'll see that money's unencumbered.
Well, just talking about recruiting, one, I think, I know you've delegated some of the leadership and initiative to Captain York and Captain Harkins, and they really, those numbers that you mentioned about the number of individuals who have been number 1 or number 2 in the class is really outstanding. I mean, this is not our evaluation of them. This is a very experienced, qualified professors and instructors who put together that evaluation. So it really is a terrific recognition to their ability to identify, source talent. The only other thing, Chief, you had mentioned before that we had some potential lateral transfers that are in the evaluating us, and I know the timing has to work on it. You know, my only comment on that is, given the environment that we're recruiting in, I absolutely believe that there can be experiment, whatever you want to call it, an outreach to them, whether at some point it crosses into harassment or annoying, but before it gets there, I think the focused effort to stay in touch with them, you know, reminding them this week, last week, that we're still very interested in it. I mean, just to maintain that contact. And by the way, you know, there's no good idea that I'm not willing to steal. I'm thinking of how they recruit some of these four-star athletes, and it's because those coaches and those schools just continually stay in touch with them. We're thinking about you, if you thought about us, you need information, here's an article, we thought you might be interested. So just, you know, give it some thought, because I know sometimes people put their name in to an organization, and I'm not sure I'm that interested, but, you know, maybe the timing is right. But just the idea of, you know, Madison Police Department keeps reaching out to me, and they, you know, I got a note from a happy Christmas card from the police chief, from the man, you know, just what can we do that the other departments and the other communities they're looking at don't do? I mean, how do we say, this is a special department, and we have an interest in you being part of it, and, you know, the fact that you've piqued our interest is not, this is not a job offer, but it's, you know, we like to get to know you more, we like you to get to know us more, you know, anyway, give it.
I think a lot of the attraction comes from what Madison is,
Yeah.
the makeup of Madison and the shoreline. Interesting on the laterals I spoke of, it's not, I'm talking about somebody who has 10, 15 years in. These are kids with 2 years on. They have moved to this area. You know, one's commuting to Bridgeport Police Department. Now, he's at 2 years. If this person continues and he turns out to be a viable candidate, then I personally have no problem with somebody in their 2 years. Not somebody, they're still climbing up to learn, they're still learning, and they become the fabric of what is Madison. We may have to pay the department like we had North Haven pay us, but that's still short money considering if I had to train them.
Right.
So we're doing that, we're staying in touch. One thing interesting is, a lot of the candidates, the ones that have never been a police officer, there's a lot, it's a sense, it's immaturity. It's interesting, you know, and not a lot of high marks. It's almost like folks are looking to get a job. But we make that investment, and then I could see, based on our own experiences, that perhaps, in that sense, that these folks will leave within a year or two. We're going to spend a lot of money getting them up to speed. I got to understand if we left for somebody for another agency because of family issues or something. And also, a lot of the folks, I think that there's a movement towards some of the benefits within the town that's happening, and that word gets out. So I think people that are trying to migrate from other agencies, look how attractive it is in Madison. And also the officers we have, they're out there in that world, they talk to their classmates. You know, they know. What we do also is that when you're a patrolman in this town, you basically, you're the Swiss Army knife approach to all things law enforcement. If you're a young officer in New Haven, there's a crime, you hold the scene, they call for the specialized unit, they thank you, and you go watch the corner and direct traffic. Here we have them do this arrest warrant, search warrant, work with somebody sees them. So they get more experience in a short period of time than their classmates, contemporaries in the academy class they went to like the big city PDs. Now we don't have what they have for different units and stuff. But if they truly want to learn that profession called the police officer and the investigative technique, this most certainly is a place that they should really consider.
Well, look at we know we have the vacancies. You know, the environment is as competitive as ever, and I just you know, think, as Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so, you know, this is something that, you know, give it some thought. Maybe Jeremy and Doug have some ideas, but if we have three people who, you know, we've got some interest in them. We don't know whether they haven't gone through the full in-depth interview, but, you know, continue to court them
I
until.
feel like this has come up before.
Yeah.
That, did Jeremy say that they invite those folks to come to the department for the day?
We
or
do. We have
to-
some people coming to ride. We have some folks, we have a young lady from towards the Stanford area who
Uh-huh.
gives the indication she'd like to move. I'm not quite sure that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
But they would have to commit, because it's a day academy in New Haven,
yeah,
and that's a long ride
Yeah.
through traffic. We have that, and we also, we do circle back. We have a young lady, she's graduating from Quinnipiac in the end of May. She's SUMA, that's the track she's on,
uh-huh,
4-0. I'm not gonna, the ultimatum, you have to join us now. I'd rather go back to her for that third position when she
Oh, yeah.
graduates.
mhm,
And bring that quality to this department, instead of disrupting her life with like, well, if you don't come now, no, I don't have,
Yeah.
I want you to do what you're doing, stay on that track. And there's other PDs looking at that particular person also, you know, that competitive, the competition between the other agencies is still there. I think a lot's gonna happen this year. I think, you know, I'm not quite sure where they're going with the negotiations, maybe we can talk about that a little bit later, but I think it's going in the right direction, where it's going to get people coming back and people retaining people,
mhm.
whatever comes out of that.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Training?
training report. This month we did about 133 hours. I think we're all back there next week, I think Tuesday, myself, Doug, and Jeremy also, for the mandated training. Legal updates, that's mandatory. Crisis intervention, the CIT training, we sent Connor Sirachi to that for full training. Collect NCIC recertification is required, and then the monthly response team SWAT training for Sergeant Roy. It was also a little bit slow because of the holiday. A lot of the classes weren't happening.
Can I ask the SWAT, if you, I know it's you're accepted and participate as a member of the SWAT, what is the duration of that SWAT assignment? Is that a 2-year where you're on that site?
They recertify like every year.
Okay.
You know, that's not a,
So it's not, so we have, for example, how many, 2 officers who are certified as?
yes, we have, well, we've rotated probably 6 or 7 through. Others have left the team to go on to
Right.
other, one of the CI unit, one is traffic reconstruction, you know, the regional team, traffic, they prefer to do that. Because the call-outs, they may have young kids, maybe the wife works a shift, you know, so it was more convenient for them. But they never short of applicants for that. There's probably, I think it's 43 operators, no, 47 operators now, because Wallingford joined us also. And we might see Old Sabre join us. So that's gonna increase the numbers. So that also will be less demand. Maybe they might separate it 2 separate teams, I'm not sure. I usually show for the finance meetings. But we're funding this. That's the extent of training for the month.
Traffic?
Traffic, 28 accidents this month. I believe 10 resulted in injuries. Let's see, we got 10 injuries, 5 private property, 12 accidents were damage only. Interesting is that we have a lot of property only in the shopping centers, where people tend to back up their car until they hit something. And I think, I don't wanna say it's age related, but it reminds me of my father, because of years ago.
Do you have an update of the terrible accident that happened on Durham Road yesterday?
It's under investigation, but we're waiting for the son of the deceased to be notified. Of one car,
It was a one-car accident.
It's a one-car
Nobody else was
retreat.
involved.
yeah.
Okay, oh, that's horrible.
Yes, it is, yes, it is. They had the autopsy today, and we're still working on it.
Mhm.
As well as a case we had a few weeks ago, We thought it was, just more serious than what it was, which is serious, but we thought it might have been a homicide, it wasn't,
Oh,
it was a suicide,
okay.
so.
Chief, let me ask, just, you and I had a brief chat about I'm trying to think, was a post on social media, the individual who was arrested going 97, I think it was on Route 79?
79 North, they call it Goat Lot,
Yeah.
especially the flats there.
Yeah, you know, a number of people, that startled a number of people that you know, 97 on Durham is someone who, you know, is on that road periodically, if any of us heading north are on that road. But are there some areas that, given some of the public concern about speeding, are there some areas that we tend to focus on from a patrol point of view because they just seem to be, you know, higher risk there? I know,
Well,
for
certainly.
example, you know, the schools and some other
Yeah,
areas.
school routes,
Yeah.
high impact areas for accidents.
Right.
Example, Route 1, Hammonasset Connector. People launch trying to catch that yellow light. We've had 6 accidents at that intersection, 2 pedestrian, which were not fatals. It's for also, that's why when they put the crosswalks in, I'm like, what are you thinking? The DOT decided to do that. Up north, commuter hour, people fly from like 5:30 on in the morning, and they're up there, they're on radar. Route 80 is where the, Route 80 where it sways is another,
Oh, that's
what
not.
they'll do is they,
Things go missing when you move.
when you're coming from Route 80 from Guilford and you're heading into, let's say towards the circle,
Yeah.
we've had a curve in there which has been marked. Then, of course, when they improved the roads, they removed the signage that we requested. But we've had a couple of fails in there off the road. So there's areas that we look for. It's very difficult on some areas to run radar or do monitoring other than physically parking there. They'll do it sometimes early morning commuter on Green Hill, especially towards Killingworth. And there's a speed sign that was put in on the Killingworth side. Because we really didn't have the ability coming out of an S-turn to put the speed sign there. So that, and of course, we monitored that fairly well because of the schools. So, all the new STCs and everything that we put in the area of the school, Neck River School, it seems to be working out. We had one request where they would like to see a crosswalk, because people are now walking to school, the parents with the kids, I don't know if they're gonna do it with a snowstorm, but from north of Green Hill.
Really?
So we're gonna look at that, and that should be, I think, I look at it as a no-brainer, but we'll see.
Well, it was one of the things that, you know, I was hoping you just mentioned, and that is the Neck Road School. You've got, what, 4 months of experience now, and people should be adjusted or make some adjustment to the traffic pattern there, but everything seems to be flowing pretty well with school buses and everything else.
It was an adjustment like the first few weeks of school,
Right.
and they decided to leave the second gate open, and that facilitated, particularly, you know, after school, before school. Some parents that dropped their kids off, that maybe they were there for different events. So, but that's all worked out. So it's really working well. The security team, the armed and unarmed, the SROs, they're doing a magnificent job.
Great.
Great, good, okay. We talked about recruitment, community calendar.
We had the turkey trot, which is a little less than 5,000, uneventful, pretty beautiful day. Everything went accordingly, no incidents. We had a pretty good control of the traffic in the area surrounding it with the, I like using the trucks to block the intersections. I think from the standpoint of safety and where this world may be going, it's a good thing, good policy. The holiday parade was also within 3 days, and that one was downtown with the chamber, and that went off without a hitch. It was very well received and a lot of people.
Okay.
And I'm holding my toy drive now, So I have 34 families, local families, 75 kids. The first group of families came in today, but they will come in tomorrow and all next week. And the town of Madison has been incredibly, incredibly generous, incredibly generous.
How is that publicized?
A few different ways. It goes out in Peggy's weekly newsletter to the town. Our social media person, Madison, puts it on the site. It's on the police department site. I publicize it to all my friends, so I pull in a lot of favors this time of year. And then my name just gets around, and so I get phone calls and emails from people asking if there's wish list items they could buy, and there always is, and people, like I said, have been extremely generous.
I'll tell you, if any one of us haven't had an opportunity at different times to walk through, Mrs. Claus's workshop over there, I mean, it really is impressive and, kind of humbling that people really are that generous and focused, and I think it's just a wonderful program. Terrific. Thank you for your effort.
How did the food drive go at Stop and
Food
Shop?
drive went very well. We lucked out, the weather was good. We had lots of food, overabundance of turkey, so we're now giving out the extra turkeys that we have to New Haven and Guilford and other towns that might need it. So it went very well.
Good.
Yes, it was, people were again very generous, and so when we brought all the donations to the Madison Food Pantry, they were very well stocked and were able to give people more food than they normally do.
Oh,
That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Regional update, Chief?
Next week, we have that meeting, myself and Jeremy and Doug, and also we probably with NextGen, who does our CAD, with Valley Shore, just to go look at what we can and cannot do. We also have a meeting after the first of the year. And I've set that up with Ron Al Higgins from Public Safety for the state of Connecticut, and Clayton, I can't remember his last name, who heads OSET, DSET, which is the gentleman you had met that retired. This gentleman took his place. He used to run New Haven, so we're seeing communication. So we sit there and we're gonna ask them, the other part of it is we're talking with Valley Shore on some of the regional services, but we're also looking at the other side of the coin is what if 2 or 3 departments wanna get together and they wanna regionalize? And what is the incentive from the state of Connecticut for the money that they'll put into it? Is it X amount of dollars, or is it a bonding by the local legislators that put it forward for the building and put it together? So we wanna hear from the people that are currently running that organization as to what it is. So, because we've had meetings where someone said no, they said this, they said that, and then the figures, I remember the figures you and I heard when we sat there, and they're different from the figures we're hearing now. So, it gives us another option. There's also other communication centers which have an interest in joining ranks with 2 or 3 towns, and most certainly Madison is very robust. I can only speak for Madison, but there's a lot of towns that are considering it.
Well, just so I say it, and it's my mantra, it's very encouraging that, the first selectman, and I've had some discussion with Peggy, and she's very receptive to this, I think. And so it's a matter of keeping the process moving. And I'm glad you're involved, if we're talking with Valley Shore, but the next step is to, move from a process to something that appears to be more actionable. Who else needs to be in the room? Is there an agenda? Is there a next step? I recognize, because we have talked about this so much, we're maybe, the police commissions, maybe a little more impatient about seeing some even minor level of traction on it. But if we're now having a meeting with Valley Shore, and there's another community has a representative who is also going to attend, and you, as a result of this meeting, have a firm number that somebody can take back to, you know, another board of selectmen that said, no, the state of Connecticut, the authorized, informed, knowledgeable representative says, you know, the grant is for 6 figures, and here's what the figure is, and then here is the revenue per year per town, and those are hard numbers, you know, plus or minus $10,000. That starts to sound like somebody should say, okay, let's put together the committee. And who's on the committee? You, Sam DeBoer, whoever are the right people to say, we've got some, you know, knowledge, interest, and motivation to move this ahead.
I think, I know we've worked, our discussion, this has happened over many years, as well as requests for crosswalks. I think we're past the hardest obstacle, which is the emotion. This is Jack speaking, though. It's the emotion of it, you know. And you see this. It's no different, I guess, than when there's a consolidation or they want. So everybody has a seat at the table. All stakeholders are represented. They all feel that, yeah, it's worth looking at. That's huge. That's huge. So now we're trying to find out, well, tell us now what the money is if all these people come together. And we're looking at, like, Valley Shore to see what their capabilities are. I'm not saying it's official with Branford. There was a discussion with Branford. Newer facilities, see what their capabilities are. See what our own capabilities are. You know, discussion, maybe the arts barn might be a site, you know, if they end up doing the art component somewhere else in a newer building. Which would be, for us, it's right next to our tower, which is the state backbone, in less than 100 yards, plug and play. So there's a lot out there, but for me, the biggest, the hardest thing, and I've seen this a lot of things, getting people to the table. And then they are now, they agree, let's look into this. It makes sense. So that's a good thing. I don't know what the timeline's gonna be with it. We're trying to be slow and steady and make sure that everybody knows each step we're taking. But Sam and I have worked on this for the town of Madison side with the authority of the other chiefs, the service chiefs. Yeah, let's look into it. So we'll keep it posted, so we'll see how it goes.
Good. And at some point, it's gonna be the ultimate, whether it's to, you know, another community or some other first responder chief, the answer is gonna be, if you have an interest or concern, attend the meeting. You have the invitation. The meeting is, you know, a week from Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Attend the meeting. You know, you're invited to be at the table to help evaluate it, but you have to attend the meeting.
There's some other, I mean, financially, aside from the state, I mean, we use just as an example Valley Shore. They're capable of our equipment on any of their tower infrastructure. And I'll leave that there. Okay. Within the tower infrastructure, what does that mean, Jack? That means that we may not have to build additional towers, like we always talk about Rockland Preserve, that area, and down here, that their sites may fill in those blanks for us, so to speak. Will bring communication up to 80–90% within the areas that have been, we'll call it dead areas, historically for the town of Madison. So when you have tower projects at $500,000 per site, you know, and that's just getting the tower up. And, you know, that's not a bad thing. You know, that's gonna save the town money. So it's worth that and other things. We had a discussion. Can our equipment go? Yes. Will enhance? Yes, based on the test it will. So that's another thing that's somewhat exciting. But the state equally is coming, you know, they would love to see the funding of a 911 center is not just, it's the hardware, which goes up every subscription.
Right.
You know, I use the example of when we first signed on, it was like 12, now it's 120 something, you know, over 7–8 years, times 3 or 4 communication centers, plus all the equipment, all the T1 lines, all the backup lines, all the internet that goes in there. You're talking a few $1 million for each site, so if I could consolidate that, and as far as calls for service, more than capable. Any one of these communities are more than capable of handling it. But we'll see. I think probably next spring you're gonna have a lot more dialogue on it, you know? So once the budget and stuff's in, and we're able to work on those things, so okay?
Okay, good.
I have multiple correspondence on, you know, I like to talk talk to somebody. I hate the email part, because to me, it's like, I think it's more personal, even if they're gonna try and yell at me. So this one, I like this one. This is from Miss Dudley Smith. Good morning, I want to commend your officer who was stationed on a road job in front of the gas station on the post road this morning. The car number was 316, it was Sergeant Phillips. As I was getting gas, I witnessed a lady ask him something, and he quickly accompanied her to a car and put air in her tire. As a wife of a police chief and a mother of a police officer, I know this profession does not always get credit for the kindness they display. Please thank the officer and tell him there are many thankful for his effort. Be well, Platia. Now, she's the Director of Health Sciences, Assistant Professor of Health, Quinnipiac University. So, and that's Chief Smith from Woodbridge as well.
From where?
Yeah, he's getting handed that. So we passed that on to Sergeant Phillips, and I've reached out to her to thank her for a kind letter, and of course her observation, and we love hearing about this. Traffic issues. These are more communication. East Wharf has raised again, and we had the speed sign, and then the trees would grow with the canopies, and the speed sign won't work. We can't go on the southbound side of the road because that's all ledge in there. It's kind of like trying to drive a nail in the concrete. So people are asking that we re-examine some way to slow down cars. Of course, people come up with like speed bumps, or we've had that discussion before. We've asked the patrols, obviously, we talked earlier about these are areas that people ask us, we do the best we can, but we have to rotate around because we have so many requests for this, and that's what we're doing. There's a lot also construction going on there with the finishing up the paving and construction, Connecticut Water Company and the gas company, so that doesn't add to it when the road gets restricted. Munger Crosswalk we spoke about. And Route 450, the state of Connecticut is going to come back down and do another study where this project is. For me, it's unacceptable. That's a dangerous intersection, new road, 450. If you're going to put some sort of medical center on the other side, who's going to go there during the day? Well, see, that's older folks. Not you, Annie. Not you. So I told them, I beseeched them, that you really have to look at this. I know that the developer had done a study, but I told them that's not gonna cut it. With the housing project, like southbound, I truly believe in an additional lane. So as people enter that complex or enter New Road, I believe they have to have an intersection that's not only marked, but has control signals synchronized with that intersection for people to make left turn only, right turn only, things like that. Facilitate so people, especially people that are restricted drivers, getting out of there safely.
How many units are going in at?
I hear from 60 to 69. Some are independent, some are side by side, like townhouse.
About right now?
That sounds about right. The project on the other side of the street, I understand, is in limbo.
The medical.
Yeah.
That's been on hold for a while. One of the principals pulled out, and then there was some negotiations.
That's yeah.
As far as I can tell, there's no active work on site going on.
So I think that's very important that they do that right. Measure twice, cut once on that. Also, the state of Connecticut is going to be doing from Route 1. Actually, a lot of even our own town roads are going to, at their cost, change a lot of the signs. There's a new technology with the signs, the different dimensions and colorings and reflective. So they're gonna go in and do that. If they think something additionally should be done, they'll let us know, probably at our cost, but.
For speed limit signs, or
Well,
what kind of
you see
signs?
on like the state roads, you'll see they do the cuts, we call them the rumble strips.
Oh, yeah.
If you get out of it, they enhance the lines on the road. They've added additional signs, like on the curve areas, they let up very
Okay.
quickly from at night, whatever they use for adhesives that reflect them. So they're doing all that within the town, this region, so, this district, I should say, so that's going, that's ongoing.
Could we just circle back on this, the study? I hope, I know you can't control this, but I hope the state will solicit your input, your review before they issue, here is the final recommendation from the state as to that intersection. Because, again, my impression is, if there's a developer who's had this project in limbo for a while, they are going to be anxious to go. And I feel, certainly from a traffic safety, more comfortable if you are able to put up the slow sign, stop sign, pump your brakes, because we have some concerns about this, versus the state issuing it. And by the way, the asphalt truck is coming in because they got the state approval issued on Monday, and the following Monday, you know, let's go. So I just, you know, hope they will give you some time as head of the local traffic authority to review it before it gets a full green light.
So they also look at the impact coming out of River Road.
Yeah.
A lot of traffic feeds there from people kind of finding a circuitous route to go to work and avoid Route 1 and get to the connector and dart out in front of you as you're coming south, you know, on that curve, and there they are in the middle of the road. A lot of traffic, we were watching it a couple of years ago, coming down across the bridge from Clinton and then coming up the other side of River Road before Scotland. And there's a lot of traffic, you know, people. So I'm hoping that the DOT, and the gentleman I spoke with, he had called, and we have a pretty good working relationship now with the development side of zoning here in town, and I give that credit to Peggy, because she put us all together twice a week on a Tuesday in the room, and we all talk about all things Madison, and so that's really worked, you know. So when they hear something, they make sure Jack knows, and make sure that John Naka knows, and make sure that Rob knows, or Sam, and it's worked out. So that's what caught this gentleman, the new, once again, somebody retired in the state of Connecticut, put somebody in there, but this guy works, he's younger. So he assured me that he would do just what you said, you know, but he was fascinated at what the approvals were before that. You know, that why would they do that, you're right, you know, so it's good.
Okay.
That's all I have on traffic issues.
Okay. New business. You do have a copy of the proposed 2026 commission meeting agenda. There are no required adjustments because of holidays, so this, as every once in a while we do, because of a quorum or other issues, we may make a change, but subject to any concern, this will be our published calendar, and Holly will, who do you send it to, the town clerk?
Yes.
Town clerk, so, I know it's the highlight of the month, so I'm sure you'll put it on your calendar, but anyway, if you have any issues, you know, please let Holly know. Otherwise, Chief, is there any, I think we've covered everything under old business liaison?
No, it's just the, just very brief circle back, is our budget has to be submitted by this January 2nd, and again, I reiterate what we talked about last meeting, is that labor, contracts, cost of services, training increases, materials, vehicles, they're going up. I mean, like 8,000 per vehicle. Additional regional contractual increases, a regional service. We got our bill for the regional K&I today, but it was less than it normally was, so that was nice. So, and then I'm sure that the people that do our storage, and we have to renew within a year and a half, are gonna come up with a more expensive contract for the cloud and all the company's equipment that services that, so.
Yeah. This was the finalization of the preliminary budget that we reviewed earlier. Holly, could you make sure for January we get a copy of, here's the budget that was submitted on the second. The dates don't quite align, but that budget is still gonna be under review by the time of
Yeah.
our January meeting, so we'll have
I have a CIP next week also, capital improvement. Now, the only thing we have is the cars, as I said, are going up, and those are quotes that we have between Chevy and with Ford. It's obviously the industry across the country. The second part is we know that our training is going up incredible, a lot more than I thought it would. The cost analysis versus what it used to be is quite an increase, more than 20%. I know that we'll have the labor for if and when. I'd like to have those two lads or lasses, whoever we hire in place, so hopefully we'll be able to get somebody into a class and do that maybe early spring, maybe late winter, but that's our target. There will be some left over for if and when we're able to. Let's using that woman as an example that's at school. You know, she joining as a third. There is a rumor that may lose a officer to Wallingford. Nobody's confirmed that yet either. That's just what they talk about. One other thing is
pension related, chief, or location, any,
pardon?
the reason he or she may go, is that pension related, is that location, and what's?
The way it got to me, Tom, he doesn't like midnights. So to be quite, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, sir.
I'll leave it at that. Sorry, we all did that, work midnights. So I think that the CIP I'm gonna talk about, but one thing is, we had our annual, the water came through the roof in our building over Thanksgiving. And this seems to be it was when they had a little bit of wind, and people said to me, well, it wasn't that cold. I said, most certainly is with the wind chill, and this roof always does this. And interesting is, I'm not a weatherman, but since they took all those trees down and they cleared that big area, it's like increased. My own observation. It froze 2 units and they burst. Thank God they didn't go over the dispatch center or the records room, but it hit the patrol side of the building. So they worked, put the claims in on it, but I just reminded somebody now, don't fall over, just let me speak. I think at some point, wherever this board is, most certainly in the future, you gotta consider either the rehab of that building or a new building down the road. It has been in service now, since 2001, Al? 2001? That building's been?
That sounds about right.
No, 2001.
Yeah.
We always seem to have issues with the design of that roof, and I'm not saying that, and if you walk to the building, and obviously these buildings have been brought up into modern technologies and air heat and all that. I just think that it's gonna need a major rehab at some point, and I've had the discussion with Peter, also Peg, I've had that, you know, as we look at buildings and we talk about things, you might wanna consider that maybe we might be time to put the police department on a CIP for 5-10 years down the road.
The chief and I have had a very brief discussion about this. And one of the things that I think this commission does have some responsibility for, in addition to, you know, the annual budget and operational aspect, I think the other part of our responsibility is to look at issues involving Madison Police Department and Public Safety with a strategic view. And part of the strategic view relates exactly to a point the chief raised, and that is there is such a thing, and you know, you've been exposed to it certainly in your career at the university, where they talk about the useful life of a building. And we are, I think, approaching some evaluation in terms of the current police facility, where the issue is going to be, you know, do we spend $1 million to put the new roof in, but recognize the HVAC is not adequate? Do we correct HVAC when we realize the windows are not energy efficient at all. And we now have to do all this rewiring because the technology and the infrastructure is not there. So one of the things, and we're not gonna rush, I'm suggesting we not rush to do this, but we should, I think, start to incorporate into our deliberations the consideration of, if we looked out 5 years to 7 years, what is the alternative between totally upgrading that building in a significant way, or citing the police department in another location? What's the alternative? What's the cost implications? And again, we're going out 6 to 8 years, 8 to 10 years.
But it could be sooner, depending on something catastrophic, who knows?
But it could be sooner. But to be, and by the way, if the conclusion is, you know what, from a town impact, central location, this is where we think the public safety facility should be because of parking and the room to expand and other considerations. But we still need to invest $3 million upgrading this building. Where and how might we relocate the police department for the 12 to 18 months construction period? Is there, where might we be? And anyway, in all likelihood, if we enter into those discussions, we're certainly gonna do it, and I hope and expect in some lockstep with the Board of Selectmen, and also invite in other, consulting individuals who basically, this is what they do. They help, organizations, potentially communities evaluate what are the cost benefit alternatives, and you hear all the range of factors. So it's sometimes looking at saying, none of us may be on the commission when the final decision is made, but I think we have a responsibility to start to have those discussions and to have them in a thoughtful way and get input, whether it's from the Board of Selectmen or the Board of Finance, to participate. And maybe there's a subcommittee that starts looking at it and look at some part of our deliberations, as opposed to saying 7 years from now, way too far. But to say, look at it, if we conclude that really this is not the best location. The best location is this former school site or some other place, then 7 to 10 years really isn't too long to start looking at how do you put together that land, how do you do the plan. So, Chief, I think it was very appropriate for you to raise it. I think it is, I'd like to suggest that it's not gonna chew up an enormous portion of our future agendas, but it should be on our agenda.
I think you should probably put a building, because it is under your authority, and somewhat do your own needs assessment before it goes to if it moves to and goes to, or a professional asset evaluator comes in and looks at it. So, so that you get an idea. We all get a I have an idea.
Yeah.
You folks all have a snapshot of, geez, what do we got to do here? And quite frankly, the maintenance of the building's been, they've done very well. Peter, who's come in, Anderson, he's done some, he got the building painted for us. He's redoing the generators. They're supposed to be paving the parking lot coming up, barn to put the equipment in, because it helps maintain the life of the equipment. The cleaning of the garage, redoing the floors and lockup. I can go on and on. I'm still waiting for our room there to be redone. But I think we can do the weight of what it costs to do all these things versus what's the cost of it, new construction, versus how long will this current building last, that infrastructure, the critical part, the bones of the building.
Yeah, well, I think it's a legitimate topic, and, based on earlier conversation, considered it part of what we're going to, be dealing with, looking at on a fairly regular basis going forward. Al, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to
Yeah,
that?
I do, I'm kind of waiting. I guess you'll be pleased to know that the town now has an element of town government called the Facilities Committee. A group of citizens who are, have been assigned the task of looking at all of the town's building assets, looking at all of the town's programming needs, and looking to the future to decide what should go where and what expenditures are appropriate to plug into our capital planning. So Ed, as a next step, I would suggest that the thoughts that this commission has regarding the future of this building and whether it needs significant renovation or whether it's not the right building or it's not in the right place, I think we need to sit with the Facilities Committee and make sure they are aware, and as part of what they are doing right now, over the next year, they're looking at everything. I wasn't aware until this conversation happened tonight that you had these thoughts, that this wasn't, that this building either perhaps needs some significant changes or that the function could possibly be relocated because the town has other assets in other parts of town. So I think this conversation needs to be relayed probably through the chief to the first select woman, would be one way to relay this conversation, to make sure this gets on the agenda of the Facilities Committee and that they have a conversation with this commission.
We've somewhat, you gotta remember, is the two schools somewhat coming down the pike there, so I just stayed clear of it. But we silently did repair work and things to that effect, but I mean, it's just, every year, the roof has come down inside, dumping water inside the building, and they've redone, I think the roof's been done 3 times since I've been there. And it just gets frustrating. And I think that where we're going in law enforcement and where we're going with policing in this town along the state, we probably have to look at the next 20 years of what we're going to have that's going to be working for our people to operate what's known as our police department.
Sure. Al, I'll
Maybe we can
absolutely
chat offline
appropriate,
afterwards, figure out.
absolutely you wanna coordinate it.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can assure people there may not be a request for a swimming pool with a, no new police department building, but anyway, we will certainly take that, incorporate that into our planning structure. Okay, Commissioner comments? Ann?
I'm just gonna say that I appreciate the positive movement in the shared services area. Just nice to hear that things are moving along.
Okay, thank you. Tom? Michael?
I do have a quick question. I heard that the MSW position was voted and approved as a full-time position.
Yes, it was.
Moving forward, I know I've asked this and we've mentioned it, and I apologize, it escapes me. Where does that salary fall? Is that going to be on Madison Youth's budget, or is that on ours?
It's going to be in Madison Youth and Family Services. It's going to rest there for now.
Okay.
Eventually, I believe it's going to be with us. She puts 2 years in, then she gets the, I'm going to say it correctly, LSC something with her master's in social work.
Licensed clinical social
So
worker.
she does-
LCSW.
She no longer needs the supervision component. So that's a year and a half away, but a little less. But I think that's probably where it's gonna go. I know when we discussed the finances of it, that they would like to see it ultimately with us on our side. With conjunctions, no different than the SROs with the schools. It's a partnership.
We have asked that she, if you recall, she give a year-end first year.
Yeah, she's coming to
I
the
think
January
January
meeting,
she was
January
preparing
she's
to do that.
coming.
Okay.
So, you know, the chief has been very positive about her impact, and so it'll be, I think, very helpful to hear, you know, her summary and how she impacts the Madison community.
Listen, last night, I explained that out. I thought at least from our balcony and policing, you know, what this means for us, where we've gone from 2 officers to an hour to 2 hours on site, multiple times, same household, perhaps a trip to the hospital, an officer in the ambulance accompanying them, only to have back of that home within 2-3 weeks. This person has handled over 180 cases. That's families, 180 families. That's not the individuals in the family also affected by the event or the issue. This kid is worth her weight in gold. I thought our intern before that was great. This kid has really worked hard. She's got a lot of confidence. We do get a lot of communication on her behalf. I'm amazed, you know, we had to do notification. She came over, she's right there with us. And she follows up with services for the family. So I think it was inevitable she needs to be full-time. You know, when she's seeing clients in our lobby there, in a little office there, I mean, it's making a difference. For us, we've seen it, we always talked about on average 10 voluntary committals monthly and other. We've had a couple of suicides within the last 90 days. You know, there's a lot of things changing in people's dynamic, family dynamic, from loss of job, losing their home. You know, and it's not just here across. You look at what happened in Stanford. Someone that just simply is an extension of somebody from being evicted from their home. Incidentally on that, the transcripts are out. If you listen to the transcript of the negotiator with the individual, he tells a life story of it and what the different breakdowns in his health and his wife's health. So I think that I pointed that out to them from my balcony, what I see and what I've seen in this town, and I think it's a very positive thing. It's, you know, is it going to be mandatory? I think you'll see that within 2 years. Some of the cities have really stepped up to that. We most certainly became a model in a short time. So I'm very happy. I think it's the right component to work with the police department. And for me, I always like, you know, whoever says nothing happens in Madison, not a lot of things happen in Madison. You know, you don't know that, you know. We just got another fraud for almost $500,000 against the family. I mean, it's crazy. It's just, you know, so. Anyway, I'm happy it happened. It was basically unanimous. There was one vote against, and I think it was more practical to, you know, it should be happening in July, and I just explained that, listen, she's overwhelmed, and we're gonna move somebody around to make it happen, and then the position is official July 1st, there we go.
Just one question, please, Chief. We
Yes.
seem to get a lot of positive response about the postings that were coming on Facebook from people, and lately I've been asked several times what happened to the Madison Police Department Facebook page.
It's still there.
It's there.
It's there.
It's very active.
He posts things, they post things regularly. I mean, they don't post something just to post it.
Okay, do you have, because I just wanted to, you know, report back to these people. Do we have to look a
Go
certain way?
to Facebook and search Madison.
Search for the group.
Search
The
for the
algorithm
Yeah.
changes what you
Yeah.
see automatically, so like
So
when
these
you open
folks
it
don't
up.
know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Well,
basically.
they
no,
need to
they-
be, if they're following the Madison Police Department, like the
Then
other
they'll
day,
get
they,
That's the best way.
they
Yeah.
alerted everyone to let them know that Route 79 was closed because of the
Right.
tragic accident. So they will make announcements of the turkey trot or anything that's going
Road
on.
closures.
Road
So the
closures.
magic word is follow the police department and you'll get the information.
Yes.
Yeah, or,
Yes,
and
yeah.
search for the group, you know, search for the Madison Police Department if it's not showing up in their timeline.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's an older one that was there that's been defunct since I showed up here, the old group. But that, you'll find it, there's always something on it for, we reported blockage, wires down, all that stuff. We'll also do school delays, all that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We do have a couple items, Al, in executive session. I appreciate it if you stick around.
Let me shut that down before.
Yeah, so is there a motion to adjourn our regular meeting and move to executive session?
Motion to adjourn at 6:32 into executive session.
Good, thank you. It will be brief.
I'm
You adjourn?
seconding it.
We're adjourned. We're unplugged. Okay.
And I will be leaving, but if anyone, as you walk across the street, if you're interested, the community room is open and you can go see Santa's workshop and all the generosity of the
And
town.
do you need anything else?
I don't right now, no,
Everything is
I'm good.
fulfilled?
I'm still waiting for my only thing is a lot of people that were making donations that I needed them aren't here yet, but they're coming.
Yeah.
Whether they bought something online, it's not here yet, but that's not the.
Multi-receivers.